Alright, so Anthropic just announced a major revamp of their Claude desktop app. And as a terminal guy myself who's been using Claude Code from the terminal for over a year now, I have to admit that this one kind of makes me scratch my head. Let me show you why. So basically the app is built around those various projects that you're working on. So here, as you can see, I have 3 different projects. For each project, you can actually run different sessions, the same way that you can run different sessions from the terminal. And when you actually zoom in on a specific session here, well, you basically have these like threads that basically shows you how Claude Code is progressing on the tasks. You have like the major feature that you can find from the terminal, that is the various modes, ask permissions, the streaming modes that skip the ask permissions, basically the plan mode as well, very useful. And you have also that bypass permission mode that you can enable directly from the Claude Code settings, and that lets you bypass any permissions that Claude Code may ask you before performing the task. You have also the ability to change the transcript view, make it more verbose, normal mode, or summarize modes. You have also all the various features like adding a folder, adding files, etc., etc. And you have also the voice mode that is directly accessible via these buttons. Okay, so basically all these features that were actually accessible via those commands from the terminal, they are actually available via those design components here. Also, what I find very useful as well is that you can open up overviews. So that's basically the same kind of user experience that actually Codex came up with, or even Cursor recently came up with that new agent view that you may have already checked out, where you have like this user interface and various features on the right here to basically interact with with the tasks that your agent performed. So here, that's the same story. So you have a preview that can be available here. So you can see how it renders. You can obviously modify the size to adapt to your specific needs. You can check out the diff, so basically the changes in terms of code that were added. So here I'm not sure why I don't have like any diff here. So maybe that's because the task is actually already performed. And you have also access to a terminal as well that lets you basically interact again with the session. So you could very well launch like another Claude session here and like launch another task as well, or even like run any other terminal commands that you deem are useful. And also you have like access to the plan and the tasks that were outlined for this specific session. So here you have access to the plan and to the corresponding tasks that were defined in the workout plan. For this use case, I don't have any. And obviously you can run several sessions per project. So here, as you can see on this project, I have a plan mode activated. So they Claude Code is asking me for some input here to come up with like the exact plan. So that's pretty neat. The one frustrating thing that I think is kind of like missing for now is that to start a new session, from what I've seen, you have to actually click on that button, new session, and you have to then select the project in question, and then you have to start like the task. Okay, what I would like is I'd like to be able to start a session directly from that folder here. Just saves me like one click to select the project, but yeah, again, this is the kind of thing that would make the user experience smoother. Here you can see that Claude is asking me for my input. It has outlined a plan, and it's going to come up with some new task here. When you go, jump to the new session page, and if you have like no like tasks or no request from Claude, you also have access to this dashboard where you can see the number of sessions you started, the number of tokens you consumed, and also the consumption from the various models that you've been using. So that's really, really neat, and I'm expecting them to like improve a lot analytics, basically, to possibly like better support users into how they can optimize their usage of Claude Code. One thing also that I quite don't understand from this actually first version of that revamp is that actually I would like the sessions that I start from the terminal, okay, to be bubbled up directly here. So for instance here, as you can see, I have like a session on yet another changelog that is not appearing actually here, sorry. And I have also another one, as you can see, on Vibe Coding Academy v2 that is actually not the same one as the one that we're working on here, okay? So that's something that is kind of bothering for me, because I'd like to use also this Claude desktop app as a kind of dashboard that lets me also visualize the various tasks that I'm working on, and I'd like this view to be as comprehensive as possible, obviously. One very interesting thing, though, is that you can leverage routines from the Claude Code desktop app. Let me show you. So you can actually run scheduled tasks either on a local environment or remotely, especially if you want to run on a regular basis the same kind of task. Okay, so here what you can do is you can say, okay, refactorize the front end. You can add a system prompt saying that take existing components on the front end and uniformize the components so that we reuse as much as possible of the components that we are using. That's a standard tasks that you can run. When coming up with like refactorization of your front end, you can obviously select the model here, select the repo, and then schedule it basically. So that's a very interesting feature, and also you have the ability to connect via, to the connectors that you have already connected via MCP, and you can also basically trigger some code directly also via this routine feature. So this one is really neat. That being said, I don't think that replaces what you can build up thanks to the Claude Managed Agents. So I have another video that I'll link in the comments where I show you how you can schedule tasks via Claude Managed Agents by basically scheduling the use of sub-agents or custom commands defined by specific markdown files in your local environment. But that's already something that could be worth using for, I would say, standard and very simple tasks. And obviously you can run it from your local environment. The only problem is that these routines would only, if you run these routines locally, they would only work if your computer is on. And that's actually about it. So for me, it's a very interesting release. This is definitely something that I'm going to use for, I would say, routine tasks or small tasks, I would say, small improvements that I want to add up to the app, and that do not necessarily require me to monitor exactly how it is implemented in the code. However, for more complex tasks, new features, payment features, I prefer to still stay within the terminal because it's important for me to actually focus and have a view on the actual code that is added, including how the file are structured, etc., etc. And this is not necessarily something that you can do from this page here. So I think this is a very nice addition, really something that I'm more going to use as, kind of a dashboard of basically the various tasks I'm working on for also potentially small improvements. But I would say that still more than half of my daily usage will remain in the terminal. And again, if you want to become a product builder and become the kind of for instance, product manager who builds feature ship PRs, I think it's still worth working from the terminal because that still is going to be the way that development teams are going to work. In all cases, I'm expecting a lot of improvements on this Claude desktop app. I think they've come up with a first version on which they want to get some feedback and keep improving it. But again, maybe something that would be more tailored for, I would say, less technical people or users who are not necessarily working inside a development team with full-fledged process that still, in my opinion, do work better when you are working inside a proper IDE with notably a terminal. But yeah, we'll see how development teams are going to use also this Claude desktop app. Maybe the future is not an IDE, but is this kind of desktop app, or maybe actually the new IDE is this kind of new app like Cursor, Codex, and Claude Code came up with. So the future will say, but in the meantime, I'm very interested to get your feedback on the video and curious to know how you plan on using a Claude Code desktop app. And yeah, I'll see you soon with some more content.